Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's lecture on creativity and innovation. We see from some popular English stories online. As we know, Chinese President Xi Jinping, in an inspection tour to central China, has called for deepening of the reform and opening up drive and implementation of innovation-driven development strategy so as to achieve the economic and social development targets. At first, we should realize that creativity and innovation are different. Creativity refers to generating new and novel ideas. Innovation refers to application of an idea, and in many cases is a collaborative enterprise. So, in other words, innovation is applied creativity. Today's lecture will be divided into 7 parts, which represent respectively 7 strategies for increasing our creativity and innovation. 1. Develop our ability to create and innovate. 2. Expand our world. 3. Defer judgment. And 4. Let imagery guide practice. 5. Overcome the frame formula of thinking. 6. Look where others aren't looking. 7. Deeds matter most. Truly creative people have developed their ability to observe and use all of their senses, which can get dull over time. I'll tell you another story which says how innovation is destroyed. Some researchers did an experiment. They did on the following steps. Step 1, start with a cage containing 5 apes. In the cage, hang a banana on a string and put stairs under it. Before long, an ape will go to the stairs and start to climb towards the banana. Step 2, as soon as the ape touches the stairs, spray all the apes with cold water. After a while, another ape makes an attack with the same result. All the apes are sprayed with cold water. Step 3, turn off the cold water. If later another ape tries to climb the stairs, the other apes will try to prevent it, even though no water sprays at them. Step 4. Now remove one ape from the cage and replace it with a new one. The new ape sees the banana and wants to climb the stairs. To his horror, all of the apes attack him. After another attempt and attack, he knows if he tries to climb the stairs, he will be assaulted. Step 5. Next, remove another of the original 5 apes and replace it with a new one. The newcomer goes to the stairs and is attacked. The first newcomer also takes part in the punishment which ensues the other. Step 6. Again, replace a third original ape with a new one. The new one makes it to the stairs and is attacked as well. 2 of the 4 apes that beat him have no idea why they were not permitted to climb the stairs or why they are participating in the beating of the newest ape. Step 7. After repressing the 4th and 5th original apes, all the apes which have been sprayed with cold water have been replaced. Nevertheless, no ape ever again approaches the stairs. Why not? Our senses for curiosity, creativity, and innovation can get dull over time if we give up our effort to develop our ability to create and innovate. Innovation is based on knowledge. Therefore, you need to continually expand your knowledge base. Read things you don't normally read. Trying to do new things and to learn new knowledge will shift your brain into another place and help you be more innovative and creative. Expand your world. Many discoveries in science, engineering, and the arts mix ideas from different fields. Have you ever heard a very popular story from internet? The 2-string problems. Two widely separated strings hang from a seam. Even though you cannot reach both at once, is it possible to tie their ends together using only a pair of pliers? One college student tied the pliers to one string and set it in motion like a pendulum. As it swung back and forth, he walked quickly to the other string and drew it as far forward as it would reach. Then he caught the swing string when it passed near him and tied the 2 ends. Asked how he succeeded, the student explained he had just come from physics class on pendulum motion. What he had learned in one context transformed to a completely different one. This principle works elsewhere as well. To enhance your creativity, learn something new. If you are a banker, take up tap dancing. If you are a nurse, try a course in vitamin therapy. Read a book on a new subject. Change your daily newspaper. The new will combine with the old in novel and potentially fascinating ways. The third strategy for increasing your creativity and innovation is to be careful about how you are perceiving things. In other words, defer judgment. Here are 2 net stories about it. Don't judge too soon is one of them. The train has started moving. It is packed with people of all ages. Near the window sat an old man with his 30-year-old son. As the train moves, the son is overwhelmed with joy because he is thrilled by the scenery outside. See that the scenery of green trees moving away is very beautiful. This behavior from the 30-year-old son made the other people on the train feel strange about him. Everyone started murmuring something or other about this son. Suddenly, it started raining. Raindrops fell on the travelers, through the opened window. The 30-year-old, filled with joy, said, "See, Dad, how beautiful the rain is." A lady became irritated with the raindrops as they were dropping on her new suit and spoiling it. "Can't you see? It's raining. And you, old man, if your son is not feeling well, get him to a mental asylum and don't disturb the public." The old man hesitated first and then, in a low tone, replied, "We are on the way back from hospital. My son was discharged this morning. He was blind at birth. Only last week, he regained his vision. Rain and nature are new to his eyes. Please forgive us for the inconvenience caused." The things we see may be right from our perspective until we know the truth. But when we know the truth, hurt or damage has already been generated. So try to understand the problem better before taking a harsh action. Another story also emphasizes the importance of careful judgment. The story is 4 apples. A teacher teaching math to 7-year-old Alan asked him, "If I give you 1 apple and 1 apple and 1 apple, how many apples will you have?" With a few seconds, Alan replied confidently, 4. The teacher was disappointed, but she repeated, "If I give you 1 apple and 1 apple and 1 apple, how many apples will you have?" Alan had seen the disappointment on his teacher's face. He calculated again on his fingers. This time, hesitatingly, he replied, 4. The disappointment stayed on the teacher's face. She remembered that Alan liked strawberries. She thought, maybe he doesn't like apples, and that makes him lose focus. This time, with an exaggerated excitement and twinkling in her eyes, she asked, "If I give you 1 strawberry and 1 strawberry and 1 strawberry, then how many will you have?" Seeing the teacher happy, young Alan calculated on his fingers again. There was no pressure on him, but a little on his teacher. She wanted her new approach to succeed. With a hesitating smile, young Alan inquired, 3? The teacher now had a victorious smile. Her approach had succeeded. She wanted to congratulate herself, but one last thing remained. Once again, she asked him, "Now, if I give you 1 apple and 1 apple and 1 apple, how many will you have?" Promptly, Alan answered, 4. The teacher was very angry. "How, Alan? How?" she demanded in a little stern and irritated voice. In a voice that was low and hesitating, young Alan replied, "Because I already have 1 apple in my bag." When someone gives you an answer that is different from what you expect, don't think they are wrong. There may be an angle that you have not understood at all. You will have to listen and understand, but never listen with a predetermined notion. Another strategy for increasing our creativity and innovation is to let imagery guide practice, so we can see a concept come to life. Now, another story is coming to my mind. That is a story about Rockefeller. There was a business executive who was deep in debt and could see no way out. Creditors were closing on him. Suppliers were demanding payment. He sat on the park bench, head in hands, wondering if anything could save his company from bankruptcy. Suddenly, an old man appeared before him. "I can see something is troubling you," he said. After listening to the executive words, the old man said, "I believe I can help you." He asked the man his name, wrote out a check, and pushed it into his hand, saying, "Take this money. Meet me here exactly 1 year from today, and you can pay me back at that moment." Then he turned and disappeared as quickly as he had come. The business executive saw in his hand a check for $300,000 signed by John D. Rockefeller, then one of the richest men in the world. "I can erase my money worries in an instant," he realized. But instead, the executive decided to put the uncashed check in his safe. Just knowing it was there might give him the strength to work out a way to save his business, he thought. With renewed optimism, he negotiated better deals and closed several big sales. Within a few months, he was out of debt and making money once again. Exactly 1 year later, he returned to the park with the uncashed check. At the agreed upon time, the old man appeared. But just as the executive was about to hand back the check and share his success story, a nurse came running up and grabbed the old man. "I'm so glad I called him," the nurse cried. "I hope he hasn't been bothering you. He's always escaping from the rest home and telling people he's John D. Rockefeller." And she led the old man away by the arm. The astonished executive just stood there, stunned. All year long, he had been wheeling and dealing, buying and selling, convinced that he had $500,000 behind him. Suddenly, he realized it wasn't the money that had turned his life around. It was his newfound self-confidence that gave him the power to achieve anything he went after. Interesting? Well, another story is interesting as well. The story is filling a sieve with water. Now, I'll tell you the story. The teacher had given a discourse on creative thinking. Afterwards, his students approached him and asked him to set them a problem that required them to think creatively. The teacher gave them a sieve and asked them to fill it with water at the sea nearby. They were gone for a long time. Finally, the teacher went to the beach to see what they were doing and find them seated helplessly around the sieve. "You have set us an impossible task, sir," said one of the students. "It is not possible to fill a sieve with water." "Are you sure?" asked the teacher, picking up the sieve. Sometimes it helps to step back and view the problem from a different angle. He waded into the water and threw the sieve far out into the sea. It sank. "There," said the teacher, "it's full of water now." Creativity means to overcome the frame formula of thinking. Creativity is bridge to make innovation possible, that is, to make the seemingly impossible things possible. Innovation needs to look where others aren't looking, to see what others aren't seeing. We discover some people get locked into a rut of trying harder without trying smarter. Trying harder doesn't always work. Sometimes we need to do something radically different to achieve greater levels of success. We need to break out of our paradigm prisons, our habit patterns, and our comfort zones. The story online, "A Dying Fly," tells us this reasoning. This small fly, in a futile attempt to fly through the glass of the window pane in a room, the whining wings tell the poignant story of the flyer's strategy. Try harder, but it's not working. The frenzied effort offers no hope for survival. Ironically, the struggle is part of the trap. It is impossible for the fly to try hard enough to succeed at breaking through the glass. Nevertheless, this little insect has staked its life on reaching its goal through raw effort and determination. This fly is doomed. It will die there on the windowsill. Across the room, 10 steps away, the door is open. 10 seconds of flying time, and this small creature could reach the outside world it seeks. With only a fraction of the effort now being wasted, it could be free of this self-imposed trap. The breakthrough possibility is there. It would be so easy. Here, I don't deny the importance of trying harder in doing something. But trying harder isn't necessarily the way to success. Sometimes, in fact, it's a big part of the problem. If you stake your hopes for a breakthrough on trying harder than ever, you may kill your chances for success. In order to get a way out, sometimes you need to look for a new way. Sometimes, however, we come up with ideas at the beginning of the innovation process, and then we never get a single idea down. At some point, we have to turn off the idea generation and take action to bring a project to life. Once upon a time, there lived a man who wanted to achieve everything he was capable of achieving. He was obsessed with this desire. There were so many things he could do. He felt like the whole world could be his if he only set his mind to it. At times, he was even horrified by the powers hiding in his mind and heart. He knew his potential had no limits. He knew he could accumulate power that would dwarf the power of ancient kings. He knew he could write books that could shake the minds of generations to come. He knew he could invent things that would forever change the lives of millions of people. There was only one obstacle: having such a potential, but only one life. He had to make a choice. He had to decide where to apply all of his enormous abilities. Making that decision was extremely hard. For any choice meant cutting off some future achievements. And so, in the meantime, he went to school, graduated, found a respectable, well-paid job, married, and bred children. And he spent every minute of his spare time trying to decide where he should apply all his might, even though he was not interested in applying it to his work. His power was impossible to hide. He earned great respect of the people who worked with him. And all the while, he thought to himself, imagine what I would achieve once I concentrate entirely on the area of my choice. Time went by, and he grew older. Some rules he used to dream about became cruised to him. But there was still so much he could accomplish. And he kept thinking hard while working, raising children, dealing with everyday problems, and knowing that his potential had no limits. And most people who knew him were of the same opinion, for it was impossible not to realize it, being around him for a while. One day, a sudden chest pain made him come home early. He dragged his feet to the bathroom. There, feeling weak and empty, he looked in the mirror. A worn-out, gray-haired man stared back at him, but his eyes, though red and tired, were still full of unrealized potential. He peered into these eyes, and all of a sudden realized one simple truth. The next moment, the pain pierced his heart again, and it stopped beating forever. Everybody who knew him cried and said that the pain of this loss was great. Not only had he been a good man, but they also knew what great potential had died with him. True, he had spent his life trying to make the choice. But imagine what would have happened had he made it. After all, his potential was truly unlimited. The choice was about to be made, and very soon he could have achieved anything. His life could have become a shining monument which would have forever inspired future generations. What a loss! What a tragedy! They cried and cried and cried, and they didn't know what he had realized the moment before he died. The truth that came upon him was rather simple. People only flatter themselves by thinking that they could have achieved this or that, if not for such and such circumstances. Yet this is nothing but delusion. Deeds, not talents, matter most. As long as we are healthy and we are not in war, crime, or forces of nature, we can always achieve a great thing in some field. Your talents should be put into execution, or they are not worth a leak. In reality, what you don't achieve is something you don't keep on doing. Can you find any illumination from the above stories about creativity and innovation? Today's China calls for innovation. Without innovation, no economic or social development is possible. All in all, we will rely on innovation to foster new social demand and bring about a new round of economic boom. Well, we just stop here for today's lecture. Thank you very much.